Ladies and gentlemen, hello, delighted to find you on R7 for this new editorial which concerns the solidarity tax. You have learned that on January 1st, 2025, any Congolese aged 18 and over will be required to pay the sum of 1,200 CFA francs as solidarity tax. This is how the Sassou Nguesso regime, resulting from the very bloody military coup of June 5th, 1997, helped by France. Mercenaries and foreign armies lend money to the Congolese, who instead wait to find out where the Congolese oil money ends up. Congo-Brazzaville is the third largest oil producer in sub-Saharan Africa, with a production capacity of 350,000 barrels of oil. By day, the Doyo cartel, which has taken not only Congo hostage, but also its oil, is in a sharing contract with the multinationals, including French ones, who brought it back to power by force. With hindsight, the Congolese now understand that finally France had brought Denis Sassou Nguesso back to do a military coup to continue to take over. Congo's natural resources, including Congolese oil, are diverse and plentiful.
Total Energy continues to invest more than $600 million in Congo in 2024, not only on this exploration well, but also to maintain production from the giant Mot field. In the north, so good news, Total Energy continues to be very active. What about Congo? And so I wanted to share this news with President Sassou.
Instead of an equitable redistribution of revenues from natural resources exploited in Congo-Brazzaville, Denis Sassou Nguesso, brought back to power, as I recalled earlier, by France through his Group F, now Total, now wants to impose a so-called solidarity tax on the Congolese to better subject them after having deprived them of everything. 40 years in power, the Congolese do not have water, the Congolese do not have stable electricity.
The Congolese capital lives to the rhythm of untimely electricity cuts. Judic to her, owner of a cold room, has no choice. She is forced to use the generator. In view of the losses of goods already recorded, the cold room trend is on the way to close permanently despite.
All this, we continue to pay the bills. When I don't pay, there are problems. Every time it's just the agents passing by, the agents passing by. The 1CNE agents hanging around everywhere. So in the day you can receive at least 3 people. They just come to check all this, but the power is not stable. There the freezer no longer works. I don't sell anymore. I'm forced to just do storage. Because the merchandise, I don't have anything anymore. Where I am, I have nothing.
We had to change the engine because with the incessant cutters, it must have short-circuited the machine.
Education and health, almost the existence of civil servants at all levels, accuse many months of unpaid wages. Where does Congo-Brazzaville's money go? How can we imagine that in a small country like Congo-Brazzaville, which has barely 6 million inhabitants and huge exploited natural resources, I quoted you in one word, oil, wood, gas, minerals. The deep water port tax revenues to customs that in a country like that civil servants accumulate up to 120 months of unpaid wages. Unimaginable when you know that Congo-Brazzaville had become in the 2010s, remember? Just after the cancellation of its debt by the Bretton Woods institutions, the vending machine of hundreds of billions of Congolese taxpayer money to other African countries, Congo is also this country where 14 trillion cephalles francs, the equivalent of 26 billion US dollars, disappeared without anyone being questioned. Should we remember that 9,000 billion CFA francs are also hidden in Chinese banks by dignitaries of the power of Brazzaville in the
At the heart of this investigation by the French Daily Liberation, a man, Lucien Ebata, and Orion Oil, the oil trading company he runs. Orion Oil is a privileged partner of the SNPC, the National Oil Company of Congo, of which it currently sells about 10 million barrels per year. French customs have been investigating Lucien and Bataille's activities since 2012, and according to her, Orion Oil is nothing more than a shell company responsible for taking revenues from the Congolese oil trade and redistributing them in particular to members of the clan of President Sassou Nguesso. Salon, the French customs investigation file widely cited by Libération, Orion Oil would be at the heart of
a sophisticated capital evasion system uses suitcase carriers and complex financial structures.
Passing by,
companies domiciled in tax havens in order to evade the embezzlement of Congolese oil revenues and mask the real beneficiaries.
Still, according to Libération, several €100,000 and dollars in cash were found at the Parisian home of Lucien Ebata and his financial director. Investigators reportedly seized evidence of cash withdrawals made from several Orion Oil accounts in various African banks. In total, $164 million and 26 million euros, precise release. Libération précise.
Some of these cash payments were able to directly benefit dignitaries of the Republic of Congo, including its president Denis Sassou Nguesso, to the tune of $37 million, and his relatives.
There are 5 others that are still in operation, of course, have hidden in tax havens more than 5.5 trillion CFA francs. Among them is the son of dictator Denis Sassou Nguesso. I mentioned Denis Christel Sassou Nguesso, who alone accumulates more than 1,800 billion CFA francs, followed by Lucien Ematar, Rodolphe Ada, Gilbert Ondongo, Jean-Richard Bruno, and you, Jean-Jacques Bouyatou. Still working in Congo-Brazzaville and protected by the Ohio cartel, he walks quietly in the streets of the capital of Congo-Brazzaville, thus facing all these economic crimes and financial crises that have plunged the Congolese population into indescribable misery and suffering. Recall that more than 70% of the Congolese population lives below the poverty line of less than $1 a day, that is to say, less than 600 CFA francs per day.
The living conditions of Brazzavillois remain a serious concern. The configuration of the dwellings has not changed much in the popular neighborhoods since independence, from Makelekele to Basse-Congo, passing through Mangali, Poto, up to Uenze and Talangai. Most of the toilets are still small places surrounded by metal sheets or brick enclosures, with a pit sometimes lined with cement, or simply having a wooden step without flushing. No hygiene device. The few modern dwellings where hygiene conditions are met cannot justify the situation of certain districts. It is enough to take a critical and deep look at the 1,000 dwellings to understand the short-term risk of entire families. Exposing themselves to serious diseases, Avivois arms lack almost everything. Even water is becoming a scarce commodity.
Les ponchos ici, ça ne permet pas aux jeunes de rester ici. Parce que vous n'avez pas développé ici. Il n'y a pas d'électricité, il n'y a pas d'eau. Un bidon ici, un bidon coûte 300. Imaginez, vous êtes au nombre de 12 dans une parcelle, vous allez acheter combien de bidons par jour?
Instead of customers defrauding the company, now it's the company defrauding customers.
It is in this context that Denis Sassou Nguesso wants to push his cynicism. At the climax by imposing, of course, a tax of 1,200 CFA francs on every Congolese aged 18 and over. Today, Como has 4,500 young people in the 0-35 age group and more than 3,000 unemployed young people in the 18 to 35 age group. Do you understand? Unemployment is endemic in Congo-Brazzaville. It is on these young people that we want to impose a solidarity tax of 1,200 CFA francs. Where did the Congolese oil money go? Where did the Congolese timber money go? Where did the money from Congolese minerals go? Where have the gas revenues, the tax and customs revenues gone? From the arable land of Congo, made available in foreign countries, where did all this money go for you to impose on the Congolese already bruised by poverty? A solidarity tax of 1,200 CFA francs in a country where 70% of the population lives below the poverty line on less than 600 CFA francs. A real scoundrel. It would seem to be at the top of the state.
This new one is not the devil pushing you, it is not God pushing you, it is you. Even if I am a minister, I signed the contract to be against Africa, I know it. Since I said for that, yes, that's how it is. I am a minister, I have the protocol, the cars, the honors, the women, the money, all that, and I'm the one who steals the most. The president who has nothing does not steal, whose fault it is. If you don't like your country, well, you're going to blame yourself. And patriotism. You have already seen a Chinese minister, a Chinese chief of staff, have a hotel, a business, a school, etc. Have you seen Trump's ministers here? In the United States, there are 13 ministers. In a large country, we are minus 30. Have you ever seen a chief of staff with a hotel, cars, companies in China? Have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen this in France? Have you seen this in the States? It doesn't exist anywhere else but on the African continent.
You probably understood the nature of the men, the criminals who took the Congo and its resources hostage, the people who signed contracts to work against the interests of the Congolese. Working against the interests of the Congolese because nothing can explain what is happening in Congo. An oil country is running out of money. The third largest oil producer in sub-Saharan Africa, a country where wood is sold, wood is exploited, minerals. We have in deep water port tax revenues to customs gas revenues. Revenues from arable land that are made available to foreign countries for a small population of 6,000 inhabitants. And that one morning, a government has just told you that there is no more money in the coffers of the state. You have understood why they have sworn to work against the interests of the Congolese. And so after depriving the Congolese, if not increasing the price of fuel at the pump, depriving them of drinking water, electricity, urban roads, education and quality care, the Congolese did not react. No salary, no pension, no scholarship. The Congolese have not yet responded. And well, now we have to extort them the 1,200 CFA francs in the form of a solidarity tax. Where will they find the 1,200 francs? A population bruised by misery, driven to misery, reduced to slavery. Where will they find the money? What does the government of Anatole Colline Makosso want? Why treat the Congolese like this? Should an oil country short of money be recalled? That the 2024 budget was made on the basis of forecasts of a barrel at $75, we must also remember that in the first 2 quarters of 2024, Congolese oil sold but very well in the market around 80, 87 per barrel. Where is the gap? Weren't we talking about growth of 3.4? So where did all this money go for the Congolese today to accuse anyone? I am talking about public servants, 4 months of salary arrears, 5 months, 6 months of salary arrears, 50 months and another 120 months of salary arrears. In conclusion, I just want to remind the Congolese that you never liberate a people. A people liberates itself, and therefore the Congolese have the last word. So thank you for following us. Ladies and gentlemen, share this editorial and tell us in the comments what you think. See you very soon. Thank you.
On se retrouve très prochainement. Merci.